we're counting down the top 5 most shocking Olympic scandals. This is Controversy. Coming in at number 5, the Fred Lors marathon cheating scandal in 1904. It was 1904 in St. Louis, the Summer Olympics where the world's best athletes gather to compete. The marathon, a grueling 24.85-mile race, was the event everyone was watching. Among the competitors was Fred Lors, a determined runner from New York City, ready to push his limits. As the race began, it quickly became evident that this marathon would be unlike any other. The course was dusty and uneven. The sun mercilessly beat down on the athletes. Many runners, they struggled. Some even collapsed from exhaustion and heat stroke. Fred himself started strong, but as the miles wore on, he too succumbed to the intense conditions. His body rebelled against the relentless heat. At around the 9-mile mark, Lors, suffering from exhaustion and severe cramps, he decides he can't go on. He's going to drop out of the race. So he hitches a ride with his manager in a car, planning to return to the stadium. And as he's riding along, passing other struggling runners, an idea begins to form. After about 11 miles in the car, Lors' cramps, they've eased. He starts to feel better. He starts to feel rejuvenated. With just 5 miles left in the race, Lors makes a fateful decision. He stops the car, he steps out of the car, and re-enters the marathon, refreshed and determined to seize victory by any means necessary. Spectators watch in awe as Lors appears to miraculously regain his strength and surge ahead, crossing the finish line first with a triumphant smile. The crowd erupts in cheers, and Lors was declared the winner. He was even about to be awarded the gold medal by Alice Roosevelt, daughter of President Theodore Roosevelt, when the truth begins to surface. Confronted with the accusation, Lors quickly confesses to this ruse, claiming it was meant as a joke. But officials were not amused, and he was disqualified and banned from competition for life. Coming in at number 4, the 2000 Sydney gymnastics age scandal. A young 17-year-old gymnast named Dongfeng Xiao captured the attention of audiences worldwide with her youthful energy and extraordinary talent. Representing China, Dong's performances were a blend of grace and power, helping her team secure a bronze medal. The world watched in awe as these young athletes demonstrated their exceptional skills on the biggest stage of all, the Olympics. But behind the stunning routines and triumphant smiles, a dark secret loomed. Something about Dongfeng Xiao didn't add up. Anomalies in her documentations raised suspicions, and soon the International Gymnastics Federation, FIG, launched an investigation that would shake the very foundation of the sport. The investigation unearthed a shocking truth. Dongfeng Xiao, who had claimed to be 17 years old, was in fact only 14 during the Sydney Olympics. This revelation sent shockwaves through the Olympic community. The rigorous scrutiny of her documents revealed falsifications meant to bypass the age requirement, thus providing China with a competitive edge by giving them younger, more agile gymnasts. At the time, Dongfeng Xiao had been registered with an official birth date of January 20th, 1983, which made her appear to be 17 during the Sydney Olympics. However, inconsistencies emerged when Dong applied for accreditation as a technical official for the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Her paperwork listed her birth date as January 23rd, 1986, implying that she would have been only 14 during the Sydney Games. The fallout from this revelation, it was significant, although it took several years for it to all come out and for the full consequences to unfold. And in 2010, the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, stripped the Chinese team of their bronze medal from the 2000 Olympics. Number 3, Boris Onishchenko's fencing fraud. During the fencing event at the 1976 Montreal Olympics, Boris Onishchenko's performance, it was nothing short of extraordinary. His épée, which is a type of sword used in fencing, has a stiff triangular blade and an electronic tip to register hits, seemed almost magical as he effortlessly racked up points against his opponents again and again and again. His swift and precise strikes earned him admiration and respect. However, as the matches continued, something seemed to be off. Observers noticed that Boris's épée was scoring hits even when there was clearly no contact with his opponent. It was revealed that Boris's épée had been tampered with. On the grip of the sword, there was a tiny button cleverly concealed and integrated into the handle. It was undetectable at first glance, but all he had to do was press the button and it would register a hit on his opponent in the scoring system, falsely indicating a successful strike even without making any physical contact. Discovery of this fraudulent mechanism not only disqualified Boris, but it also led to the immediate elimination of the Soviet team from competition, and resulted in a lifetime ban from competitive sports for Boris. The scandal, infamously known as Boris the Cheat, tarnished Onishchenko's once stellar reputation and left an indelible mark on Olympic history. Coming in at number 2 is the Spanish Paralympic basketball scandal. At the 2000 Sydney Paralympic Games, the Spanish basketball team was admired for their demonstration of resilience and skill. They were competing under the classification for athletes with intellectual disabilities. These athletes were perceived to have overcome significant cognitive challenges, including difficulties with learning, with problem solving, and social interactions, to rise up and perform at an elite level. Their ability to strategize, execute complex plays, and maintain composure under the pressures of international competition, it garnered widespread respect and admiration. I mean, after all, the Olympics and Paralympics are all about celebrating the best of the best. And the team had a series of dominant performances which led them to winning gold medals. But something was off, and a deceptive plot was about to be revealed. Carlos Ribiagorda, an investigative journalist, was embedded within the team, and his discovery would send shockwaves through the global event. He discovered that these athletes faked disabilities to get on the Paralympic team and win. The investigation showed that the team and the athletes provided false medical documentation and exaggerated or all-out fabricated symptoms during the classification process. Now, this process involves assessment by medical professionals to determine the athlete's cognitive function, as well as the eligibility to compete in the intellectual disability category. According to the reports, the team members who were not genuinely disabled received coaching on how to present themselves as having intellectual disabilities. This included mimicking certain behaviors, responding inappropriately to questions, and performing poorly on cognitive tests. It was revealed that 10 out of the 12 players had no intellectual disabilities and had been recruited for the sole purpose of deception and winning to exploit the system. The International Paralympic Committee, the IPC, stripped the Spanish team of their gold medals and launched a comprehensive review of the classification process to make sure that this type of egregious abuse would never happen again in the future. And now, coming in as the number 1 most shocking Olympic scandal, it's the East Coast German doping program from the 1970s to the 1980s. Now, in the 70s and 80s, East Germany established its state-sponsored doping program that was aimed to dominate international sports competitions and showcase the superiority of the socialist regime. This clandestine program systematically administered performance-enhancing drugs to thousands of athletes. But unlike other doping programs, the East German initiative, known as State Plan 14.25, was especially insidious because these performance-enhancing drugs were given to athletes without their knowledge or consent. That's right, these athletes did not know they were being drugged. This state-sponsored program, orchestrated by the Stasi and supported by the government and sports authorities, aimed to achieve international dominance at any cost. Anabolic steroids, particularly oral turnable, were covertly given to athletes under the guise of vitamins and nutritional supplements. Coaches and sports doctors who were complicit in the deception assured the athletes that these substances were essential for their health and their performance. Many of these athletes were as young as 10 years old, completely unaware of the true nature of what they were being given. In some cases, athletes as young as 8 years old were put on drug programs, including young swimmers and gymnasts who were given steroids and growth hormones to enhance their performance and control their physical developments, even before they thought about getting to the Olympics. The immediate impact of the doping program was undeniable. East German athletes began to dominate international competitions, racking up medals and setting new records. But the long-term health consequences to these athletes, they were devastating. Many athletes suffered severe and lasting health issues, including liver damage, heart problems, infertility, and hormonal disorders. Female athletes in particular experience masculinization effects such as deepened voices and excessive body hair, which profoundly affected their lives. These side effects were often irreversible and profoundly affected the lives of those who were doped without their permission and consent. This scandal remains one of the most egregious examples of athlete exploitation in sports history. As for the athletes, despite the extensive doping practices, there were no widespread removals of medals from the East German athletes. Now, this is particularly due to the complexities of retroactively determining which specific performances were directly influenced by doping, and of course, the passage of time makes it difficult to establish clear evidence for individual cases. Then, of course, the idea that some of them didn't even know. So, there you have it, the top 5 most shocking Olympic scandals here on Controversy. So here's a question. Which one surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned. Thanks so much for joining me on Controversy. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow, and it helps more people discover how we're unraveling stories of scandal, true crime, and unexplained events.